you've said to me drinking culture, the Kiwi drinking culture, has long been problematic. And the New Zealand Health Survey says 1 in 5 of us have a hazardous drinking problem. I probably had one in my 20s. Yeah, I'm sure I did. But when it comes to getting help, many are too ashamed to admit that they need the help, you see. So why is there so much stigma attached to something that is so widespread in this country? Janet Thompson, who runs the Retreat, a not-for-profit rehabilitation centre, knows what it's like to drink too much. And she also knows what it's like to stop. And now she's calling for Kiwi workplaces to get on board and support their staff as they battle this booze demon. Don't show them the door, help them. She joins me now to explain just what it would look like. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too, Duncan.
And how's things? Good?
Yeah, things are going good.
Yeah. So what are you saying here? You're saying that workplaces, we need to drop the taboo, drop the whole stigma around it.
So what we're seeing is that there's numbers of people out there who are having a problem with alcohol, and because there's a stigma around coming out and asking for help, they're not asking for help. And so what's happening is they're juggling all these balls and they're keeping things going, and then one ball drops and then everything drops. And what I am saying to workplaces is, make it okay for people to come forward and say, hey, I've got a problem and I need some help.
Do people aren't doing that in the workplaces because they are scared of losing their jobs, or how does it work?
Well, because we feel so ashamed and embarrassed and guilty ourselves, we assume other people are going to look that way. And I'm sure there's a lot of employers out there that would actually be very caring and be able to help.
Yeah, they won't all be, of course.
No, but we wouldn't hesitate to come forward and say, hey, I've got a health condition, I need some help. But we do hesitate to come forward and say, hey, I've got a problem with alcohol, I need some help. We just don't come forward.
And it might be that the boss has a bit of an issue with alcohol themselves, and they might totally understand. You know?
It's pretty widespread. And at the Retreat New Zealand, we've got doctors, nurses, CEOs, tradies. We've got a wide range of people who, if they were able to ask for help at an earlier time, may not have had to go through the pain and the suffering that they went through.
Is it a workplace's job? Is it their job to offer that sort of support? Is it their job to have that sort of help in place?
Well, I would argue that it makes sense. If you've got a good employee who is having a problem with alcohol, it makes sense to retain them, because it costs a lot more to have to let them go. And I'm not saying that alcohol is an excuse for poor performance or bad behaviour, because it's not.
Well, you might be able to actually, and this is what you did, wasn't it? You can drink and work at the same time.
Oh.
Is my memory serving me correctly?
Yep. Yeah. I was very high functioning.
Yeah,
I was the CEO of a company.
Yes.
And I didn't know how to ask for help until something happened where I was forced to ask for help. So now, if I had asked for help earlier, it would have been a lot easier for everybody, including myself.
So as CEO, if someone had come to you and they had a drinking problem, what sort of help would you have said to them first and foremost? What would be the first thing you'd say to them? This
is something that you can't do on your own. We're going to have to get you some help.
And so then you would help them by doing what? Picking up the phone and showing them what's available, or what's the responsibility for the workplace from there?
Well, that's at the moment. I think there's a lot of employers that don't know what to do, and that's why we want to put this program in place, so that they can ring us and they can say, hey, I've got this employee, they're struggling with alcohol. Apart from their alcohol use, they're a very, very good employee. I need to get them some help because I don't want to lose them. This is a good person. It's not a bad person.
Those stats in the workplace, 1 in 5 people have compromised job performance due to alcohol consumption. Is that so? That's in the workplace, their performance is affected because of the booze.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. No. And there's the stats. If you go a bit higher than that, I think it's around 70% have a drinking episode where they can't remember what happened.
Yes.
And
well, we all have that, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, anyone who's drunk to excess will be able to justify that that's what happens, right?
Yeah, and once or twice, no problem. If it's starting to happen on a regular basis, I mean, the big test is, do I have a problem with alcohol? If the answer is yes, then do something about it. If the answer is yes and you want to do something about it, but you find that you can't do something about it, we want to make it okay to say, I need help.
So how do people go dry? What is that your place? What do they do? How long is the program for? What do they do?
Well, we've got a 30-day residential program, and what we do is we take people away from focusing on the problem, and we give them a solution. So all of a sudden, all the attention when you're drinking is all on the problem.
Yes, yes.
So we say, okay, we know what the problem is. Let's find what the solution is.
How hard is it to turn someone around in 30 days? I reckon 30 days is all you need, actually.
Yeah, I went into a 30-day rehab, and I haven't had a drink for over 14 years.
Wow.
Some people need a bit longer, so we have sober living houses. We have extended programs if people need longer.
Yes.
And I mean, the main thing with alcoholism is getting connection with other people who have the same issue. So during that 30 days, we can put some recovery networks around you, and so that you don't feel like such a loser and such a failure.
I mean, and that's the other thing about booze. All my bad decisions have been on booze.
Yeah.
You know, and I think 80% of people effectively identify with losing their memory or have memory loss due to excessive drinking. So who knows what you've been up to? I know it wasn't good, and I made some bad decisions, and that's the thing that's turns. It's a bad drug, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's so available.
I know, but it doesn't have to be a problem. You know, that's the thing. Like 4 in 5 people can drink responsibly and it's not a problem. And all power to them, well and good. But if you're the 1 in 5 where it is a problem, what I'm saying to you is you don't have to do it alone. And what I'm saying to employers is make it okay for that 1 in 5 to ask for help, because there is a solution, and we need to take them away from living in the problem and move them over to the solution. 30
days you can turn their life around.
I reckon I can.
Yeah, well, you did it yourself. You're living proof of that.
Yeah.
Are your beds full? Your place is full?
Not at the moment.
Right.
It comes and goes. We don't have government funding, so you know, sometimes costs can be a barrier. So we try our best to get people in as quickly as we can.
How can people get hold of you if they need to get hold of you? What's the website?
www.theretreatnz.org.nz.
Okay. Hey, all the very best, eh?
Thanks, Duncan.
Keep doing the hard
Appreciate
work.
it.
Good stuff.